Hi guys, I've back to do another update. I'm on holiday for a little while now, so hopefully I'll have time to make a few videos and then do what Chris does, and then just post them up when he needs them. So this is going to be the first one. I've bought a few new things, and I've also had the chance to spin a lot of stuff as well because I'm on holiday, so it's fine. First thing I've picked up was this album. Big fan of the Incredible String Band, but I'd only ever really listened to their first 4 or 5 albums, depending on which way you look at it. Their self-titled one, Hangman's Beautiful Daughter, Retan Big Huge, whether that's 1 or 2 depends on your point of view, and 5,000 Spirits, and I love all of them. But I'd never listened to any of their later stuff, and this, I don't think this is their last album, possibly their second last album. And I got this cheap off eBay. And I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. It's a total change. Well, not a total change, but the first song on it really sounded like I could have sworn it was Cat Stevens' first song on this. And then a lot of it's got a kind of reggae, calypso-y kind of beat to it, which was a bit peculiar. But then I suppose that was popular in the late 70s, which is when I think this came out. I can't remember the exact date on this. 73, so earlier than I thought. But yeah, it's on Pink Rim Island label. I still enjoyed it. I've only had a chance to really play it once properly, but it was worth a listen, and another thing to my ISB collection. So I was pleased to get that. It wasn't very cheap. I mean, it wasn't very expensive, so it doesn't really matter. A thing that was expensive, which I've been a Dylan fan for a while, and when the new bootleg came out, Volume 11, I have. Let me think. I think I started buying them when they got released from like Volume 7, I think. So 7, 8, 9 and 10 I bought on their release date, and then I picked up 1 to 5 off eBay on CD. I've not got Volume 6 yet. I think it's 6 I'm missing. So I went into the shop where I used to work to order it on CD, because they didn't actually have it in, or they'd had it in but they had sold out. So I ordered a copy, but I think obviously because they used to be going in and ordering records, they ordered the wrong thing for me. So they ordered this, which is Bob Dylan and the Band Basement Tapes Raw, which is all the recordings from those sessions. It's 3 LPs and a book. Because they'd made a cock up, they gave me this for a good price, basically cost price. So it was still expensive, but I paid it up over a few weeks. So as you can see, I've not opened it yet. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this. I might just keep it as it is. But I don't think these things really appreciate in value that much anymore anyway. Like the first ones are pretty hard to get hold of. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. I probably will just open it and play it, but I might just keep it and have it as a good bartering tool. Now, I've been watching a lot of James Buttery's videos. I've enjoyed watching them, and he's been showing a label called Mainstream, and I've really liked the kind of sleeves on them. And I was searching around for stuff on Mainstream, and I wasn't really sure what to go for, so I didn't go for anything on Mainstream. But I saw this, which the Mainstream sleeves always kind of reminded me of these BYG ones, and I saw this for a good price. This was £10. I got this for. This is Archie Shepp, Yasmina, a black woman. It's on BYG Actuel label. I think this is an original French pressing. Certainly all the info on the inside here is in French, so my French is very limited. But free jazz is somewhere where I know a lot of people in the VC rave about it, and I've never really been a fan, but I think that's because I've never really been exposed to the right things. I bought this because I saw it was cheap, and I knew it would be something I could easily trade or sell on. But I actually really enjoyed this. The first side of it is just one piece, called the Yasmina, which I probably wasn't so keen on of the two sides. But the second side I really enjoyed. It's jazz, but with a kind of African, what do you call it, Afrocentric, is that the word I'm looking for? So it's kind of African beats and rhythms, but then with jazz, saxophone over the top, but free jazz. But yeah, for my first foray into free jazz, I was pleasantly surprised. So if anybody can suggest anything else like this, I would be interested to hear. Which I think that's all the new releases I've bought. But then I've had a whole stack of stuff that I've been listening to. I've also, the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed, I've totally rearranged my records. This was basically all the stuff that was in here was the same as it had ever been, and anything new got put in boxes and put upstairs. So pretty much the whole time I've been in the VC, most new stuff has gone upstairs, so I haven't really been listening to it because I listened to this stuff. So I took loads of stuff out of here, maybe about 100 records, possibly more. Took all the stuff down that I had been boxed up upstairs, rearranged, and so now I have, this is all my warp records, so from here to here is all warp. This is all my kind of Virgin and Caroline stuff, little Smith section, Electro, Flaming Lips, my Bowie, Grateful Dead, this is all my decal. Yeah, so I've got Charisma, Progressive. Yeah, so it's all kind of in sections, not necessarily all by label, and it's not quite finished yet. I'm tinkering about with it. But anyway, on to the other things I'm listening to. The Archie Shepp album made me pull this out again, which was the only other thing that I had on BYG Actuel, and this is good. This is not jazz, this is kind of rock, psychedelic rock. This is Freedom with their album Freedom at Last, which is really good. I love these covers. I love how they kind of, I'm a sucker for this, anything that's in a series. So I've been giving that a spin. I was playing this morning, Rhinoceros. I think this is their self-titled first album. Is it their second one? Satin Chickens. I think Satin Chickens was their second. This is kind of good, psychedelic, slightly psychedelic southern kind of rock on Electra. The sleeve's a bit worn, but I seem to remember not paying very much for it. I gave this a listen last night. I hadn't listened to this for a while because this had been upstairs in a box. This is Van Dyke Park's Song Cycle. This is one of those albums that you either love or hate, and it's not so much. It's more of a journey than a collection of songs. But yeah, well worth a listen. Most people not know the music, but know of the album, I would imagine. He was the lyricist and did a lot of the arranging for the Beach Boys. I pulled this out because Zeke had shown it. I love this album. This is the first album by Cockney Rebel, before they became Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel. But this is good. One of the things I like about this is they don't have a lead guitarist as such, and instead of a lead guitarist they've got somebody playing the fiddle, or violin, whatever you want to call it. But it gives them a different sound. It's kind of like a glam rock version of Dexy's Midnight Runners, if that makes sense. I gave The Amazing Blondell a spin. This is Even Song. It's kind of medieval folk. I bought this because they were likened to Griffin, which is one of my favourite. Griffin's Midnight Mushrooms is one of my favourite albums, but this isn't as good. It's still a good listen, but it is kind of Fairport Convention with lutes, I think would be a fair way to describe it, but with male vocals. I gave this a spin. Orpheus. This is a US pressing. On MGM. This was quite cool. I got this in a bundle of stuff. Didn't really know what it was. Yeah, the Brown Arms in Houston was the kind of hit off it, if I remember rightly. I'd like to get their earlier albums. This is a later one, and I think possibly a bit more mainstream and poppy than their earlier stuff. But it was an enjoyable listen. I gave this a spin this morning. Days of Future Past by the Moody Blues. This seems to be on a curious white Durham label. I think this is probably a later pressing. But I don't know whether I've necessarily seen that label before. It's certainly not a Durham label that I recognise. But I've had this for a while. This was one of the first kind of psychedelic albums that I bought. But it's a kind of mixture of pop and almost like soundtrack, classical soundtrack material. But it's good. Yeah, well worth listening. Another album that I love that I'd been spinning was Sunshine Company. This is an original, again on one of my favourites, Blue Liberty label, and worth buying just for the track here. Is it here called Love Poem? It's brilliant. It's a kind of spoken word piece, but I love it. It sums up that whole era of music perfectly for me. And it has this great kind of psychedelic sleeve, which would have been really fun to draw, but unless I fork out for an upgrade, it won't be going in the book. Yeah, so that's it. Hope everyone's doing fine. This is 15 minutes, which is plenty long enough. I try and keep it to less than 15. So thanks for watching. Thanks for everyone who's commented on my recent videos. And yeah, look forward to hearing from you and interacting. Take care.